April 5th, 2025, a day etched in the memory of a nation, not with celebration, but with the raw, visceral cries of millions. America, the land of the free, found its voice. And it was pissed. From the heart of Washington, D.C. to the sun-drenched streets of Los Angeles, a sea of humanity surged. They came from every walk of life, united by a common enemy, their own government. The catalyst? A cocktail of draconian policies, economic turmoil, and a president seemingly more interested in tea times than the turmoil engulfing his nation. This wasn't just a protest, it was a primal scream, a collective howl of defiance against an administration that had tested the limits of its people's patience. The numbers were staggering. Over 1 million Americans took to the streets, transforming cities into epicenters of dissent. Washington, D.C. witnessed one of the largest gatherings in its history, with protesters engulfing the National Mall. New York City's avenues, usually pulsing with the rhythm of commerce, were paralyzed by a human tide flowing towards Trump Tower. Los Angeles, the city of dreams, became a canvas for the anxieties of a nation on edge. But this wasn't just an American phenomenon. From the Brandenburg Gate in Berlin to the historic squares of London, a global chorus joined the chorus of discontent. The world watched, holding its breath, as the sleeping giant of American democracy finally stirred. Everything's under attack, from immigration to education. They're dismantling everything we hold dear. These tariffs, they'll ruin lives. Trump's economic policies are senseless, driven by ego, not logic. I want my benefits. I paid into this system my entire life. How dare they even think about taking that away? The faces in the crowd told the story. These weren't paid actors. They were the backbone of America, their voices raw with fear, frustration, and a simmering anger that had finally reached boiling point. At the heart of this maelstrom of anger stood two figures: Donald Trump, the twice-elected president, and his unlikely ally, Elon Musk, the enigmatic tech mogul now heading the ominously named Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE. Trump, his policies, a toxic blend of nationalism, protectionism, and disdain for social safety nets, had stoked the fires of discontent with his trademark recklessness. His Liberation Day tariffs, a ham-fisted attempt to rewrite global trade, had backfired spectacularly, sending shockwaves through the economy. Musk, once hailed as a visionary, had become a lightning rod for criticism. His DOGE, tasked with streamlining government, had morphed into a ruthless cost-cutting machine, slashing hundreds of thousands of federal jobs and leaving countless Americans in the lurch. As the nation convulsed, Trump was nowhere to be seen. Well, not exactly. He was, as he often was, on a golf course. Not just any golf course, mind you, but his own luxurious Mar-a-Lago resort in Palm Beach, Florida. The irony was not lost on anyone. While millions marched, their lives upended by his policies, Trump was indulging in his favorite pastime, seemingly oblivious to the chaos he had unleashed. His response, when it finally came, was a study in tone deafness. He dismissed the protests as fake news and the work of radical leftists. His detachment from reality, once a source of dark humor, now seemed downright dangerous. Section 6. The Seeds of Discontent. The roots of this unrest ran deep. Trump's presidency, marked by scandal, incompetence, and a blatant disregard for democratic norms, had eroded trust in government to a dangerous low. His embrace of divisive rhetoric and his relentless attacks on the media had further polarized an already fractured nation. The economy, despite his boasts, was teetering on the brink. His trade wars had backfired, his tax cuts had primarily benefited the wealthy, and his deregulation frenzy had sown the seeds for economic instability. But it wasn't just Trump. The system itself seemed broken. Inequality had reached obscene levels, healthcare costs were crippling families, and the American dream felt increasingly out of reach for many. Section 7. A Global Chorus of Resistance. The protests weren't confined to American shores. Across the globe, from the streets of Berlin to the plazas of Paris, people marched in solidarity with the American people. They carried signs reading, "Hands off Europe and Greenland is not for sale," a nod to Trump's more outlandish geopolitical ambitions. The message was clear, the world was watching, and it was not amused. Trump's brand of nationalist populism, with its disdain for international cooperation and its embrace of protectionism, had alienated allies and emboldened adversaries. Section 8. The Unanswered Question. As the sun set on that tumultuous day, a single question hung in the air. Would it matter? Would this outpouring of anger, this raw display of people power, be enough to shake the Trump administration from its complacency? The answer, like so much else in these uncertain times, remained elusive. History was replete with examples of protests that had toppled regimes and ushered in eras of change. But it was also littered with the wreckage of movements that had fizzled out, their energy dissipated, their demands unmet. One thing was certain: America had changed. The old assumptions, the belief that the system, however flawed, would muddle through, had been shattered. The people had found their voice, and they were no longer content to be ignored. Section 9. Echoes of Dissent. The streets may have fallen silent, but the echoes of that day lingered. The images of millions marching, their faces a mixture of anger, defiance, and hope, served as a stark reminder of the power of the people. The protests of April 5th, 2025 were not an end, but a beginning. They were a testament to the enduring spirit of resistance, a refusal to accept the unacceptable. Whether they would ultimately succeed in changing the course of American history remained to be seen. But one thing was certain: the fight for the soul of America had just begun.